Hello. Clip. Hello, I'm Alex Paterson. Or is that Alex Paterson? Hello, I am Alex Paterson. Yes. For Explore Satan, and you're watching Explore Satan. No, it's not. It's dot music. Don't get me wrong. It's just an anagram. I could go on the anagram front now as well, but you know. Pleasant E rocks with an X. Aye. For real. Pantoes relax. For real. And oral sex pet. For real. Some anagrams.
Okay, well, first of all, Alex Paterson, welcome to Dot Music. You're back with an Orb album. Obviously, you've been recording as the Orb for quite some time, since 1988, I think, was your first. How did the Orb start? What was the inspiration behind it?
The objective was for us to really make people really chill out from the sort of. It was born in the middle of the acid house sort of explosion of '88, and we were doing ambient rooms over at Trance Central with Jimmy from KLF,
yeah.
And that spawned the Chill Out album and a couple of sort of KLF type ambient tunes as well as Orb tunes as well, and it became kind of snowballed. Kind of influenced a lot of bands along our way, sort of in that sense of doing a 23-minute piece of music with hardly any drums whatsoever. Kind of inspired people, which is quite nice.
It was sort of quickly termed ambient house.
Yeah, but we termed that ourselves.
Right.
Bill Drummond actually came up with that quote for an old press release for Huge Ever Growing.
Right.
The second single, one that really sort of turned people's heads when we realised what we'd done. So we found some kind of formula. In essence, it wasn't as if we were sitting there and thinking, well, we'll know what we want to do and manipulate people. It was all very. It just all fell into place.
Yeah.
It wasn't even thought about really. It just became that way.
It was quite a weird thing because everybody else was obviously playing, increasing the tempo.
Yeah, for sure. But then you see that you got to look at the other side of the scale. People, what I was looking at home, I'm very used to. If you look around my flat, you see there's lots of records in there. For example, there's a lot of CDs, but and the records in themselves speak that I collect records. At night, I tend to listen to things that are very quiet, very ambient, as of when I go to sleep, not when I'm downstairs. I can listen to all types of music, but when you're sleeping, when you go into that dream state, for years and years and years I've always listened to music, and it was always ambient music, but there was never any ambient music of such that was coming out in '88, in '87, that was, for want of a better word, sort of streetwise. It didn't have like that credibility of coming from the street. It came from like an orchestra. It came from an eclectic EG band that was based at the middle class sort of Middle England scenario. What the Orb did was it took it away from that and brought it down into a level where it was cool to listen to. It was cool to suddenly go, yeah, I like that stuff. That's brilliant. It's got no beat to it, but I like it.
Yeah.
And the rest is kind of history in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just had a month in America, so I'm quite fresh to what's happening over there in a lot of respects. And we've turned it completely around now, 12 years later, which is a full cycle in anybody's sort of, especially in Chinese calendars, but a 12-year cycle is very important for most people's lives. And the whole cycle of life. In a 12-year cycle, we're now perceived in England with these bands from Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, Underworld, Orb, Left Field, have all cracked it over there, and they're all copying us, whereas we took all that inspiration from them in the first place.
Yeah.
But because of what we would frown upon as apartheid is still very much a part of an American lifestyle.
Yeah.
people are put in different areas and they live in different areas and they've got their Chinatown, they've got their Italy, they've got their Korean Americans, they have their Afro Americans, they've everything classed and sectioned. We were taking the best music as British from the techno scene that happened to be black, and people in Middle America would never even dream 12 years ago of listening to techno. Whereas we were open to it, we were more susceptible, we were more interracial with our own cultures that were coming into Britain. We'd listen to Indian music, we'd listen to reggae, we'd listen to African music. It seemed more natural for us.
Yeah. And I mean, now
that's the change. Now they're looking at all these bands we took the inspiration from America. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And we're giving it back to them, and yet they're thinking it's us.
Yeah. But
it's had to go like this cycle. It's not Derek May, unfortunately, that's saying this is it. And yet Ford have done this amazing advert in America this month of like a mad techno music building a car built in Detroit. Perfect. But it's taken them 12 years for that penny to drop a long way before it actually hits the ground.
So in terms of the clubs that you were playing in America, was it mostly a kind of middle American white audience, or?
Somewhere along the line it would have been, but it would have been. It was more grassroots. It wasn't middle America at all. The areas, I mean, that's sort of Bible bashing areas, the sort of like Red Rock and sort of Arkansas, and you're going a long way in, sort of up to the Mormon sort of lands, of Salt Lake City, and you've got Utah. That's all pretty scary.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's probably the scariest of them all. Tulsa. 24 hours from... You're only 24 hours from Tulsa. Not Tulsa, but I mean it's like...
Yeah.
It's $5 for eat as much pizza as you can. Good territory. It's 2000 AD territory.
Right.
It's like the land of the fat man. Where you can go and find trousers that are like pants to them, trousers to us. They're like size 50 waist, 30 leg. Oh, hello.
That's quite scary.
Pretty fucking scary. It really is quite scary.
But obviously you started off playing with Jimmy's, you said.
Yeah.
And then you split up. Why did that happen? What was the sort of progression?
The main reason was because I was signing to Big Life, and Jimmy didn't want the Orb to go onto a label of any kind, let alone a label that he didn't feel comfortable with, and he wasn't comfortable with Big Life, and so his dream was always at KLF, and it did. It stayed as KLF Communications with them, and fair play to him, but he deleted everything, and he's now K Communications or something else, whatever that is, whatever he's going to become. I mean, he said something very... I mean, I'm still very good friends with Jimmy. It's not like we hate each other and we're like, sworn enemies or anything like that. We're good friends. And he said something very poignant to me recently this year, saying that he was really proud that the Orb was still going, and he was really proud of me for doing that. In a way, it kind of like... made it all worthwhile. Yeah. Little things like that make it look worthwhile when you soulmate, workmate, doesn't want to do the same thing as you, and then turn around and say, "Well, actually, you've done really well out of it."
I noticed he's done a remix.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the full circle again, the 12-year cycle. And he's asked if there's anything else I might want to do with him. So
was it possible that Jimmy might come back and do an actual Orb project with you?
Might possibly do an Orb track with me one day. I wouldn't discount that. I would give that a definitely 70-30 my favourite at the minute. But there's always that 30% with Jimmy. So.
And then you went on. You worked with youth, and
well, I'd been working with youth all the way along in retrospect of my life and stuff, and how I got on. I mean, with Ultra Worlds, I mean, there was a huge credit to youth at the end of my credits. Mainly because He was my best friend. He still is a very good friend. But he was like, we were like club mates, party mates, band mates. He joined the band, I became the roadie. Mates. Shared a room together for over a year, sort of, when we were little.
Right.
Went to school together. Known him a lot longer than probably a lot of friends I know now put together.
Yeah.
And he's a soulmate as well. Anything else? No. I'm Louise and I are godparents to his little baby boy, and Youth and Jenny are godparents to our little baby girl. Right. So you can't get much closer than that.
That's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
And little fluffy clouds send around this time.
It's nothing to do with me. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, obviously
they're usually quite grey and grim, the clouds in Battersea, but it's quite we've got a sunny day. It's nice.
Yeah.
What about it?
Well, it's obviously become a classic. Did it feel like that at the time? Did you know you'd hit on something that was going to...
We thought we were onto a good thing, because the vocals were outstanding. It was the most sexy thing I'd really heard. Up until that point, and being able to do that yourself and devise the track rather than getting a singer to sing it and then hope it comes out well.
Yeah.
With a sample, you can put it wherever you want, make it work and time stretch it the way you want it to. Trigger it on a keyboard, which we did. It worked. What can I say? It was. We were sharing a flat up in Wandsworth at the time, with a studio in the back room in one of the bedrooms, and we spent like a few weeks sort of writing it in the coach house, and then took it into a big studio and mixed it. And again, the rest is history on that one. It's kind of. It's stood the test of time, sort of, somewhat better than a lot of records I can think of.
And then working on 3, that you then met up with Thrash, who you've now parted with.
Yeah, I've parted with Andy as well, so it's like myself on my own again.
Right.
Talking of logical or illogical things, I think that the logical progression with Sidonia to Ultraworld's the first album is the fact that there is more than one engineer. There are a hell of a lot more songwriters working with me, as opposed to just one other person and maybe getting somebody in now and again.
Right.
It's worked that way. It's worked a lot better, and that is the full circle going back to Ultraworld, where it's Ultraworld is still selling. It's still selling all over the place, and it's one of those classic albums, apparently so. And Sidonia, I think, is going to become quite. It's going to give it a little run for its money in terms of growing up and not using as many samples, but coming up with choice samples, but vocal tracks as well, which we only really touched when we were doing remixes and production work with other bands. And we did this track called Higher Than the Sun once for Primal's Green. And went back to the drawing board with those kind of ideas with Sidonia for vocal tracks. So give it that kind of space, and only using 4 minutes of time to do it. And Fluffy Clouds was like that in its own essence. It was a 4-minute track.
So who have you got working on this? Who have you got working on
Sidonia? There's all starts. I mean, there's the majority of the tracks that are with Andy, but Andy kind of left a couple of years ago.
Right.
We call it musical differences, if you want, and personal differences. That's as far as it goes, because I'm not slating anybody, and one day we'll probably talk and we'll probably be friends again. It's not like all along I'm not trying to be vindictive against anybody who's left the band. I mean, I'm actually friends with Thrash, Chris Weston still now. He turned around and apologised a few years ago and realised that I was actually sailing in the same boat as him, so how I managed to be blamed for a lot of things. I just I didn't really want to get worried about, 'cause it's pointless. It's the nature of the beast, isn't it, really? So you live in a corner and whine on about something for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or you can just get up and show the bastards that you can actually get on and do it without them or with them. And I like to take the formal one.